When was the last time you did something that would take you closer to a life that you'd love? Get answers to this and many other life-changing questions on Grow Your Soul Radio. Ignite your inner magic and learn the art of life mastery with Jane Matanga. Jane will unlock and help you reclaim the magic in your life. Take an inspiring journey with Jane as you receive guidance toward the path of your greatest dreams and desires as she helps you reach success as you make powerful changes that will get you back on track and keep you there. Discover insightful tools, world wisdoms, and exercises in this hit call-in show. Transform and awaken your inner light right now on Grow Your Soul Radio.
Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Dr. Pat. I get to hang out with Jane Matanga here for Grow Your Soul Radio. I'm really thrilled to be doing this. One of the things I love about Jane is that, not only you take a look at the 3 decades that she has put into understanding what business is and business experience. She and I have a very similar background, right? But then you take a look at that, right, Jane? And you look at all of the financial institutes. I think about all the executives I've worked with. And then here you and I are, right? Somehow on Grow Your Soul Radio. Folks probably are wondering, how the heck does that happen? And today you're going to be talking about 5 ways to start today with a clear mind and an open heart, because this is so important. 2 things I love about Jane. One is I was so blown away. A couple of shows ago, we did a show, and the PDF of the show and the message that Jane put together, I literally wanted to take that thing and give it to a publisher. It was so great. Today, she's going to walk us through why we want to start our day in a certain way. And even though, Jane, my friend, Dr. Joe Dispenza, doesn't like to talk about the thing he did in the film, What the Belief, about starting your day, it is still to this day one of the most profound, shall I say, dissertations on what happens, how we start our day, what we do to clear our mind, and then what we attract in that day, right, Jane?
Yeah, so we were talking about how you start your morning and how that can impact your whole day, and how you function, work, and feel, and just enjoy the day or not. And so one of the ways that Dr. David Dillard-Wright speaks of as a personal mastery tool is slowing down our pace. So instead of kind of going through our to-do list and going through literally just the motions of what we normally do automatically, being more mindful about it. And, we're so caught up in, our stuff and being successful and just all the doing that we just don't pay any attention to really all the elements of a beautiful day. So scientists have proven that 13% of us wake up in the U.S. without passion. And one of the reasons for that is exactly this personal mastery tools that we're talking about today. So, one of the ingredients of happiness is to be able to wake up and notice a beautiful day. Just feel the breeze, feel the warmth of the sun on your face. And if we're so busy going through the motions with all our stuff, we're not feeling that and taking time out to really enjoy our life. And so then at what cost do we pay? It's, one of the ingredients in happiness, it costs so much if we're not enjoying it. All the stuff doesn't make any difference. Our resume doesn't make any difference. Our title doesn't make any difference. And how much we make doesn't make any difference if we're sleepwalking through life and living a shadow of the life we could have. So one of the things that we need to do is slow it down, slow down our day, slow down our pace, walk a little slower, maybe take a drive, a different route to work, and be mindful in that and just enjoy aspects of our day instead of just being a little more robotic about getting stuff done. So, and we're less good at doing that because we're so focused on the quality of our achievements. I mean, that's how we were raised. And so the quality of our experiences suffer. And we rush through life and we forget about all the richness that life offers. We forget to care for ourselves. We forget to care about people that we care about. And we forget to notice the beauty in our lives. We forget to just take that time to listen and to see and all the immense beauty in the world. And so that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about, trying to start your day a little differently. So maybe tomorrow morning you can try doing the things that you do, but switch it up a little bit. Do it at 2/3 pace, even half pace. Drive more slowly, walk more slowly, talk to your friends more slowly, and just notice how that process might change the way you start your day. One of the best gifts that you can give yourself is happiness. And so, everybody talks about prosperity, but the best prosperity you can have is your own happiness. It's not the money and the resume and all the stuff. It's really the gift that you can give yourself. And, noticing the difference and gauging whether the reactions to this new way of starting your day into being is more positive for you. Mm-hmm. And, if you are able to be a little more observant and a little more connected, and while you take your life more slowly, take more time to have some breakfast, get up a little earlier and enjoy what you're eating, or have a really great dinner with your friends and your family. Get out to a beautiful place, go to a park, feel the sunshine and the breeze, and go to the ocean and take in its beauty. It's connecting with all that that really helps us to enjoy life so much more. Even when we talk to others, it's been proven that we're really not listening. We're really so busy about thinking about what we're going to say next that we're really not, listening to what our friends and our loved ones are telling us. And the best gift you can give someone is your presence, and truly listening to them is part of that. Mm-hmm. And that's something that can create some magic in our lives. We always have an opportunity to create new dimensions in our life and something new. And so this is the way that we can experience our magic a lot more than just going through the motions, just being a little more mindful. And instead of wanting to get things done, thinking more about kind of discovering the beauty in your day and the manner in which we do it. And so that's what we're talking about when we say slowing down our pace. Mm-hmm. But also respecting our power and noticing that. So, when we talk about that, we're really talking about, how most people, how their unhappiness begins. And all of this is so self-caused. It's really, the choices that we're making and how we're choosing to respond to the circumstances in our world and our day. So, it's, when we think about these practices and the choices that we make, this can all ripple outward. People say you can't make a difference or one person can't make a difference. You absolutely can. If you think of your life as a tapestry and you get closer and closer, you walk closer to the tapestry that's on, a wall, and look at the threads and all the colors, and all those threads are us. And it's how we interconnect with everybody in our lives on a day-to-day basis. So, our nature is love, and the human heart is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And events that happen to us, for example, are a rhythm that causes us to react in a certain way, but we can choose, if we're going to be open, if we're going to have a clear mind, if we're going to have an open heart about what we're seeing and taking into our lives.
Yeah.
So we can choose to be resentful, or we can choose to be open and, not respond to things in a way that, is negative, but more positive, and respond to those circumstances and choices. And in that way, we really have an effect on everyone. We really, we do make a difference in the world. Our choices make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a small ripple outward, but it affects everyone in our lives. The smile that we give to a stranger, and that we would never imagine how that might affect their day. And we often think that we're powerless, to affect others and to make change. And
I was just
really
talking
not.
about this yesterday, Jane. I mean, one of the things that I think you're really hitting on here is this notion of respecting our power, the power that we have that we forget about. And I think that one of the things that I find myself being, sometimes people say I'm overly sensitive about it, and I have to be mindful of my own behavior. And that is, one of the things that you say is that, no one is born hating another person, but certainly we can develop resentment over a lifetime. And one of the things that I know I'm ultra sensitive to these days is how I'm talked to. And I have to be really mindful of how I talk to others because, what is that expression? Those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, or something like that. So this has been a lifelong journey for me, but there's something about me, and I'm sure I'm not alone, where a little switch goes on, especially if somebody talks to me in a way that feels disrespectful. And maybe for them, they're just being themselves. So isn't there it's like a twofold responsibility, isn't there? To figure out how much projection we're bringing to the table and what might be a way to say to somebody, wow, that thing right there, that just didn't feel very good. Because how are we going to understand each other if we don't come to a place where we can meet and really get clear on how we want to behave and interact with each other?
That's so true. I think we often get too stuck in that mentality of thinking that we've been victimized and just taking things personally and getting so attached to that notion and the stories that we talk about and that we say to ourselves over and over again. And your point is so very valid that, it's just no matter what comes at you or what comes at you in life, the choice is to respond to circumstances always in a matter of love and respect. And you never know what somebody's going through or what challenges they have, and you cannot, be in their shoes. So if, everyone is just so much happier if you can come from a place of just understanding and empathy and forgiveness. I mean, the two biggest things that get in everyone's way in life are the lack of forgiveness and resentment. Those are the two biggest things that get people stuck.
Yeah. If you operate with, and by the way, 12-step programs are phenomenal about getting to the underpinnings of every single resentment you have, because for the life of an addict and alcoholic, the resentment is the number one offender. And, and not just in what we know as traditional 12-step programs, but programs in general that have to do with elevating and raising and moving beyond an attachment and addiction, a way of life that's not serving you, really targets those things that are inside of us. And resentment, by the way, is one of the easiest to pinpoint because we're very well aware of how agitated we can get in a nanosecond over absolutely nothing.
That's
To us.
absolutely true.
But to the person, it ain't nothing.
Yeah.
It's something.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, in your mind's eye, it's so true. It's in a blink of an eye, your emotion and how you internalize it. And a lot of times it may not have been that intention, but it's how it might trigger something. So it's always important to remember because it's going to bring you more happiness just to come from a place of wishing all beings peace as you go about your day and your activities and the well-being of the world, because it does have a ripple effect and it feels good to be happy. So I think we underestimate the power that we have to help ourselves and others.
Yeah. I mean, part of this and that you talk about, I know, is one of the things that you look at is determining your good qualities. So it starts introspectively. And people that are outwardly resentful have a very difficult time of figuring out whether or not they got any good qualities or not. Generally their first reaction is, no, everything about me is wrong. And I think that we have to start with a point of motion. And I think you've talked about this. You and I have talked about Viktor Frankl before. One of the best books anybody ever gave me a gazillion years ago was a book by Viktor Frankl. And I read the book.
Search for Meaning.
Yeah. And I read the book, right, Jane? And I read the book and I thought, at the end, of course, if this guy could do what he did as a Holocaust survivor in the most horrific, I think it has now become in all of our history, one of the top 3 horrific scenarios for humanity, right? That I just looked at that and I said, if I could just pick up a nugget of what you're saying today, Jane, and hit the pause button every time I wanted to have an angry, resentful, emotional reaction to things, I would be better. Now, I will say by my nature, I'm not that person. That doesn't mean I'm not capable of it. I'm generally fairly easygoing, but I'm like everybody else. I have a lifetime of experience would point to a place of woundedness. Then on any given day, somebody may hit that nerve. But what am I going to do? Am I going to hold on and just think to myself, wait a minute, let me stop for a moment? Or am I going to go crazy all over somebody? When we come back, Jane's going to walk us through what are the steps that will help us clear some of this out. And what is it that we can learn as we begin our day? What can we do? What hands-on tool can we use to make sure that we understand what is going on in our head? What qualities do we want to embody for the day? And then when we kind of get a little bit off whack, what can we bring back into play? Let's take a short break. Jane Matanga, everyone. Jane, before we go to break real quick, what's the website? What's the best way people can work with you and find out more?
A great way to get in contact with me is calling me at 203-631-4275, or you can go to my website and write to me at info@enlightened-path.com.
And then that's Jane's website, enlightened-path.com. When we come back, we're going to be kicking it up with some real examples of what you can do like now. And if you do these things, you may just magically, mysteriously have a different energy starting your day. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. everybody. Welcome back. Yep, Grow Your Soul Radio. I'm Dr. Pat. Jane Matanga is here. Jane, it's great to have you here. Again, how can people find out more about you? How can they find out more about what we're talking about? And most importantly, how can folks work with you?
They can email me at info@enlighten-pat.com, or they can call me at 203-631-4275. And I am really easy to get in touch with, and I write you and call you right back. So, it's easy to get in touch with me, and that's the best way.
God. Let's talk about this idea of, look, we're all busy. We have a lot of things going on, but we just talked about, let's make sure everybody understands that we're going to wake up and we're going to have a day, but we do have to determine what our highest qualities are, for each of us, right? And really put that together. And then as we go through our day, look, if doing things in a logical order is not my strength, then chances are, if I have to do something that day that requires a lot of logic, a lot of routineness, a lot of rigidity, I'm already thinking, I wish this day was over. But we don't have to do it that way, do we?
We don't. We can make choices, and that affect the degree of our day. And success is our happiness, and that's really all it is. So we can choose, to become more patient, or how much do we want to produce that day? What the quality of that is worth to us, or is it causing us so much more stress to continue with all our lists of things we have to do. That's a pretty stressful way to live your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to kind of get out of our head and out of our socialization and think about the qualities that we want to have and embody in our day to day. Do we want more kindness? Do we want more time with our friends? Do we need to be a little more empathetic? What are the qualities that we really love about ourselves that we should be embracing more of during the day, as opposed to that kind of litany of to-dos, which really kind of it's a hindrance to our happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to think about, when those things come up, how we're going to go about that, how we would address it. Or, so thinking about our good qualities helps us to decide what we want to put our attention on, and, how we want to have our day. We can choose that. Our lives matter. Our lives are not static. They are open and in motion and constantly evolving. So we can make changes. We can make changes every day to the quality of our life. And that, creates our happiness. But we need to really be mindful of that, and to choose it, And that's why, everybody talks about mindfulness. It's because it is a type of medicine in terms of how you live your life. But if you're not mindful, you're not going to notice that. And you're just going to go through the motions and not really listen to that. And will you live your greatest life? Probably not. You'll probably live a shadow of the life that you want to live, because you're not paying attention. So that's what Pat and I are both talking about, is, and not to be so obsessed with our list. That can be a real obstacle. Instead of, a help, sometimes it helps us to decide, what really is crucial to get done in a day. But what about the fun? What about connecting with people you really care about and having loving relationships and just the fun in life? I think we get so caught up in this stuff that you kind of give your power away.
Mm-hmm.
So I think simplifying our lives sometimes is a really good thing. Taking taking 5 or taking a few minutes out of your day, and really thinking about that. That can really adjust your day and your emotion. How you feel about your day and your week. Spending less time in all that frantic to-dos and activity, and more time kind of enjoying your day. What you focus on expands. So being mindful of the fact that, that you might not be making the best decisions so that you're less stressed and more happy. That's where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what we have to put our attention on.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to ask you about too was this notion of simplification and, subtracting stuff out of our day. Because, we're seeing research on stress, we're seeing research on burnout, but we're not really seeing any big solutions or methodology to help people, right? With how to move beyond a day that's so jam-packed that you don't have 5 minutes to talk to somebody. Right?
Yes. It's really all the stuff that we get caught up in, our resume, our title. And aren't that. It isn't about that, but we kind of forget that. And it becomes that because we allow it, so because we give it too much emphasis, and it's so, you look at what's in the news and everything, and so much importance is placed on money. And, people are, really, for the most part, don't really have a good relationship with money and how they feel about it, and it causes a lot of angst when they get caught up in that and the surface of life. Really, it's when people talk about happiness, they say money, but money doesn't make you happy. Your choices make you happy. Spending time with loving relationships make you happy, and being listening to a really good friend, spending time doing what you love, being rather than doing, that kind of unblocks you from stress and all the emphasis that we place on, our titles and the job, and, instead of talking about, one of the first things I noticed when I moved to the East Coast, coming from the Midwest, was when I would talk to people, they would always talk about their jobs and what they did and where they worked and and where I was coming from, that was a very small part of the conversation. It was more about like, hey, how's the family? And what'd you do for fun this weekend? And what kind of trips have you been on? And, what are you loving in your life? And so we're not taking the time to do that. And it really does cause stress. So, that's where the mindfulness comes in, so that we can kind of get back to a lifestyle that makes us happy and really think about what really makes us happy. Is it all the stuff? We're really caught up in all the stuff. Can we do without some of that stuff? Yeah. Do we need all that to really make us happy? Most likely not. I think sometimes it gets in the way because, I think we put too much emphasis on that. So what if we took some of those things away, out of our day? And maybe we would be happier.
Right.
And enjoy our lives more. Right?
Right. Instead of trying to cram more things in there.
Exactly.
Right.
And spending time doing what you love, and instead of acquiring, and worrying about, all of that stuff and the material possessions, I think, we don't really need all those things. So when we can think about the ways in which we can simplify our life, spending less time worrying about that and doing that, and more time doing what we love and being with who we love, I think we're going to enjoy our lives a whole lot more when we're not getting caught up in our ambitions, and then, get caught up in the stress of all that and the expectations of others. It creates a whole lot of stress, and that can go internal, and it can really cause some health issues, anxiety, depression. There's so many numbers now on how many people are on anti-anxiety medication. It's really mind-boggling how much of that's out there. It's really kind of scary. So I think it's real problematic today because, I think our medical structure allows for people to be, so much more on chemicals and medications for these things, as opposed to really looking at the other very important aspects of your life balance, which would be, having fun and less stress and getting some, physical activity and doing what you love, and instead of, being caught up in all of those expectations and in all the stuff and the acquiring. And, it's no wonder everybody's, got stress-related disorders and anxiety and depression and the symptoms that are associated with some of that, which can really, the science is out there that can really be negated by taking better care of yourself and being more mindful, practicing meditation if you can do that, or going out to a beach and being by the water, going out and taking a great walk and looking at all the beautiful, amazing things that are in our world, or just getting out of our head. That's a big thing. I think, one of the biggest things is to master that. And you have to learn to master a new way to think before you can master a new way to be. And that's huge. I think that's the biggest takeaway in terms of what we're talking about, you and I, Pat.
Yeah, I think it is for us because, part of this too is, we know that we have some things we want to create in the world, and understanding the importance of mindfulness in so many ways is the way that we're going to be able to be out in the world and enjoy living our lives and enjoy the life we live. One of the things that I'm hearing more and more of is the notion of mindfulness, but also I'm hearing about it in a different way from its origins, its original notion of how to practice mindfulness, right? But mindfulness-based stress reduction, that's something that Herbert Benson looked at decades and decades and decades ago at Harvard, and was one of the first to come out of the box. And I think Joan Boroshenko studied with him. And so we now have this merging of science and spirituality and stress release. And yet, even as much as we know about how powerful it is very difficult for people to commit to that. Why is that, Jane?
It's because their minds are so busy and they don't allow, themselves to unplug from that. There's some study, and I forget exactly what the numbers are, but it's how we're so focused on living in the past, and instead of thinking about things that make us happy, we're spending more time thinking about things that bug us, And so that's where the mindfulness comes in. And I know it's hard for some people to still their mind, but that's the reason for meditation. So you learn how to quiet your mind. But, sometimes it's not for everybody. So there's other ways of doing that, focusing on the good, getting out, riding your bike, going for a walk in nature, swimming, whatever sport you like, whatever you like doing to unplug, being with your friends, doing things that you love, staying in a positive environment, being with your tribe who, lift you up and keep you happy. And, those are all like such important things in your life. And we forget that because we get so caught up in the, in our resumes. I mean, I think that's the best word I can use to describe, and, we think we're our jobs, and we think we're our title, and we think we're our salary, and where we live and all that. And it really is so stressful to live your life like that, because it isn't, that's not really who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all here for a reason. We all have a gift. We all, so I think we want to think about, at the end of the day, what do we really want to contribute in the world? We all have a gift. We can all be great in our own way. And, to really enjoy our lives more. That's the best gift that we can give ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And slowing down and respecting our power meaning the way we think and how we approach our lives. Being mindful about that, what thoughts are coming in and out of our head, and how we're going to control that in a way that is going to create a happier life for us.
Mm-hmm.
And to put our attention on what makes us happy and not what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds simple. It is a lifelong practice, but the people who do it are so much happier.
Right. Right. I want to go back to a couple of things today. And we started out by talking about the 5 ways to start the day with a clear mind and an open heart. And certainly this is something that I think many of us strive for. And on the days that we achieve it, things just seem to work out a lot smoother. And one of the things you did talk about was to slow down the pace. And part of this too is to really look at how we can incorporate more things in our lives on a day-to-day basis that we really enjoy doing. So sometimes, we have to let go of something in order to bring something in that is really near and dear to us and worth our time as well. So I think that's really the exchange factor in this too.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about rushing through life and forgetting to take care and notice all the beauty that's around us and the beautiful things that are happening in our lives, and forgetting about that, and the things that we care about. And as you say, the exchange, so then it's really being mindful about what kind of life we want to have, and really not forgetting that, so that we can not live in that shadow of a life, and we can live a more inspired life, a more richer life, a more uniquely focused life, instead of just getting caught up in our routine, which sometimes we just go on autopilot, and maybe we need to take a different route to work just so that we even notice where we're driving, get up a little earlier and enjoy the drive instead of rushing and getting all stressed out before we even get to where we need to go.
Yeah.
And taking a little more time to eat with our families and get reconnected, which we've gotten not so good at doing, because now we're so plugged into all the technology that we forget to reconnect person to person, soul to soul.
Yeah. I'm back on the East Coast for a little bit, and this is like the, what do you call it? Public Transportation Central. And what I mean by that is, it doesn't matter if you live up in Connecticut or New York, and there are these really interesting transportation facilities and pathways, right? And it's interesting to watch people in those venues. And I find myself, you don't really see a lot of people doing on the train or the bus. They really are being, whether it's listening. And I found that interesting observation being here, because if they're engaged in this public transportation, which most people are, my God, you don't drive much if you're going into the city, right?
Right.
they've got this now built-in mindfulness practice, even if it is on the subway.
Yeah. Hey, it's a great place to do it. You can do it anywhere, So I think, we owe it to ourselves to unplug and de-stress. And because, otherwise things do really and can get a little out of control and overwhelming. And so breathing deeply and just letting go of your past and not paying so much attention to your future and just enjoying where you're at.
Yeah.
Even if it's on the subway, you can be calm and you can be peaceful and you can be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And you can control that. So that's, it's that personal mastery that we have. That's the greatest gift that we have, besides our inspiration. And, that's so empowering, when you can hook back into that. And, because we always can go there and we can, experience our peace and our magic and, just have a brighter, happier version of our life just by doing that.
Yeah.
Just the little things,
I know. Look, I think that, part of this is all part of everything. It's part of the journey. It's part of what's happening. It's part of stepping out into the world. And so I want to thank you for bringing the messages that you're bringing and helping so many people understand their ultimate potential. So I want to thank you for that. I also want to ask you, what's your personal message? What do you want to leave us with today?
William Jennings Bryan said, "Destiny is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. It is not a thing to be waited for, it's a thing to be achieved." So we're talking about choice today. And Raymond Lindquist said, "Courage is the power to let go of the familiar." So we need to let go of our familiar routines and open up to a more inspired life, and that it's worth it. It's worth the effort to do those things.
Wow. Thank you. Jane Matanga, everybody. Jane, give out your website again.
Sure. It's info@enlightened-path.com. And if you go to my website, there's a free PDF on forgiveness, which Pat was talking about. And you can read about the ways that you can practice forgiveness, which is a huge, huge gift to opening up your life to so much more.
Wow. Jane Matanga, everybody. I'm Dr. Pat. This is Grow Your Soul Radio. Until next time, remember, I love the rock star inside of you. All right, everybody. That reminds me of that Freddie Mercury movie coming out, too. That ought to be absolutely amazing. All right, everybody. Let's take a short break. Another hour coming up on TTR.
You've been listening to Grow Your Soul Radio with Jane Matanga on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you'll join us next week as Jane helps you unlock and reclaim the magic in your life. For more information on Jane Matanga or to listen to past shows, visit her website at enlightened-path.com or growyoursoulradio.com. And don't forget to ask Jane about her amazing intuitive life mastery session. See you next time.